Welcome to the last day of Vlogmas 2025. And today I thought I would do something that a lot of people have been asking for and something that I just do anyway at the end of each year. It's always fun to look back and decide on your Techo Kaigi, as in the system and the planning and the setup that I am going to be using for the next year in terms of my journals, my planners, and my notebooks. So this year we have a cute little 7-book lineup here. So I'm actually going to start by introducing my lineup in a categorized way. So the first part of my Techo Kaigi are systems that I'm going to be using that are more routine based, more of something that I would touch and write in every day, a sort of like a logging or documenting in a more straightforward, not too much decoration way. And these are actually things that I use as a tool for my everyday life, as in for work, as in for personal appointments, and just like the intention to log and note down, jot down what I did, and then also like as a commonplace notebook. So in this category, we have the plotter in A5 size, a plotter in Bible size, a take a note in A6 size, and then this is a KNOX, a sister brand to plotter in the mini 5 square size. So these are my basic everyday tools that I'll probably use one way or another, because obviously for work, for reference, for logging, for my journaling, and then as a commonplace notebook. The second category here are actually journals and notebooks that I'm going to use for fun, for pleasure, and something that's for my hobby. So as you guys all know, I do a daily creative journaling practice, and it's going to be in my Take a Note A5 size. I also use a traveler's notebook, and this time in the Let's Go on a Road Trip version that's only on the TRC USA site. This one that I'm going to use for fun travel, trip experiences, experience overflow, things like that. And then finally, this is something new to me. It's also a KNOX, but this one is the Pearce series in the mini size, pocket size 6-ring. A little bit bulkier, but I'm going to use it to track my media consumption and other hobbies. Another way to look at my lineup is also thinking about them in terms of purpose. So my plotter serves a very functional purpose. The A5 size is for work, Bible size is for personal planning. So they both have more of a utilitarian purpose to it. I use them, approach them as notebooks / planners, where I do think about forward looking things, sometimes reflective as well, and more for things that are important or that I need to take note of for scheduling and things like that. The other category here, this one, the Take a Note in both A5 and A6, as well as the Traveler's Notebook, are more for my memory keeping purposes. These are vehicles that's going to document fun things that's happening in my life, sad things that's happening, reflections, thoughts, a more fun, a more casual approach to these. And they're going to really be fulfilling my desire to play with my stationery, making sure I'm documenting my life in fun ways and living life more intentionally. The KNOX N Pearce has a complete different new use for me. It's just that I've lately discovered, not that it's a super new thing, but I really fall deeply into new hobbies or things that I like very intensely. And so this is starting to be my for fun catch all for things like K-drama shows that I'm watching, new hobbies that I'm diving into, just in general things that I'm interested in that I don't know if I needed to keep in my memory keeping journal or in my planners. So this is purely for fun. And finally, the mini 5 square format. Plotter has it as well in the Shironami leather, but this one is a KNOX special piece that I enjoy using. This is actually my everyday commonplace notebook that I take with me in my purse. I take with me throughout the house, and anytime I need to jot things down, super chicken scratch, it's in this system, and I'll dive deeper into this as well in a bit. So let's go through my lineup. the first thing that I wanted to share with you guys is the Take a Note in A5 size. This is the new system that I really enjoyed in 2025 since I've stopped using the Hobonichi as my creative journaling memory keeping vehicle. And I've shared it in a previous Vlogmas, but you'll see here that I use it very intensely. It has all kinds of things in there, from doodling, fun stationery, photo scrapbooking, and I use it to document, I would say, almost all aspects of my life and experiences, from traveling, from just even staying home and observing things that I had or experienced, like going out to a restaurant or picking up certain shopping, buying this Trader Joe's bag, doodling when I don't feel like writing, and then sometimes filling the pages when I do feel like writing. So the creative journaling aspect of my stationery hobby is fulfilled. Used to be fulfilled by Hobonichi, but now I'm using the Take a Note because I really like the 2 days, 1 page format in the A5 size. It's way more compact, and I feel like I have less pressure to catch up if I do miss a day. And as proven this year, it was relatively easy if I ended up going 1 week without journaling, but then I want to sit down one weekend and just catch up. Super doable and very little stress. I also like the layout, giving me a lot more fun creative takes into how I want to journal. I could go across the entire spread, or I could keep it to this like column, make it look very magazine-like, and I really enjoy doing this. So the Take a Note planner has quite a lot of cool layouts. It's got like the monthly, obviously, which also extends into certain note-taking sections for you to write about this week or write about this whole month. At the bottom, lots of extra note spaces. And how I plan to use them is, I actually took some notes here. So I'm gonna utilize the monthly to keep track of Cookies. Cookie is my dog, my golden doodle, his kind of like his health tracker, things all about him, because essentially I think of this book as something that documents all the things that's super important to me, and Cookie is definitely a part of that. And of course, my personal monthly highlights, special experiences, special events or trips that I've been on, they will be annotated here. In the front section, there's a monthly overview like this, where it gives you a single column per month. So how I've been doing it is that I was using it to note down big milestones or special events, so that if I come to this journal 2 years down the road, I actually come to this index section first to see, oh yeah, this is when Elliot went to Mexico. Let me go there and see what this is about, instead of having to like go through this more organically. So kind of using this space to mark big milestones, big experiences, special trips, like going to Chicago, cherry blossoms, seeing someone's concert, things like that. This is what I plan to use this yearly index page for. So I'm really looking forward to filling up this notebook, this journal this year. This is how much it can expand to. The spine is really durable, even though I tip so many things in. It uses Tomoe River paper, Sanzen, 68 GSM, so it holds fountain pen ink really well. In fact, I have already used these excess pages for the next year. For example, over here, January 2027, I wanted to document my ink collection, specifically my bottled ink collection. So I was using these pages as a log, and now I can reference the ink colors when I want to ink up a new pen. Another fun thing I do in here is that I use this year at a glance view with these small boxes as like a tracker. So this year I've been tracking going to the gym, streaming on Twitch with the purple, and then calling my reps with the bright red, especially in this political climate. So these are the kind of the things that I do in my Take a Note. Sometimes I do skip days, but that's because life gets really busy, and then I don't have time, or I don't bring this with me on a trip because it gets bulky. So that's really where this A6 size comes along for. This is something new I want to try for this year. Last year I used a B6 size, take a note, as a supplement to my main journal. So if you recall, with the Hobonichi Cousin, they have a weekly section at the front, which allows you to kind of do vertical logging based on the timeline. And that had been extremely helpful for me in the past in keeping up with the daily practice, because even though I may not have time to commit to a full spread, I could easily jot down what I did for the whole day in that vertical timeline. And in that timeline, I usually just, think about the who, what, when, where, why, people I met, what did I eat, things I did at certain timestamps. And that become a reference journal for me when I'm actually working on the bigger book. So this year, I decided to try something new. So instead of the B6, which looked really similar to the Hobonichi vertical calendar, I decided to use the A6 size, because I have found that the B6 size, the space is smaller. You can see it's really cramped looking. I also didn't like that the B6 size didn't have a timeline on the left side. So it made it really hard for me to gauge key points to make it consistent. Like, I want the lunch space to be all in the same row, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes without the timeline, it becomes hard for me to gauge, and then it became slowly unbalanced. So instead of that, I decided to move to the A6 size because it is essentially a smaller version of the 2-page per day, but you get timelines for every day from 6 a.m. to midnight. And if you think about it, this, even though the size is more compact now, it actually is more space per day. So that actually allows me to write more leisurely. I have more space for decorating too, and everything will be a little bit more balanced looking forward. So this little size too is also going to be great because I can bring it with me on any trips, any short trips, long trips that I go on, and I will make sure I do not miss a day. So I'm going to use these two as a combination for my memory keeping for 2026. I think a lot of you guys are familiar with the Traveler's Notebook, which is an amazing system. It's this A5 slim size that you can hold in one hand. It's leather, so it patinas with your journey. And there's just so much fun to be had in bringing it along with you on a trip, or just, open it up at a cafe and start documenting. And I've shared many videos already of how I typically fill my travel refills whenever I'm on a trip. I like to collect ephemera. I like to write down experiences. I tip in. I doodle on the spot, things like that. And like in December, I utilize it as a fun December daily journal, which is something out of the ordinary. And instead of, deliberately making it about a trip, I decided to document each day like it's an adventure. In a way, Traveler's Notebook is memory keeping, but it has no boundaries. It's not a set template. There's no structure. You can take as many pages as you want to describe a single day, or you can literally write about 2 days in one page. So I just love the flexibility and the freedom that a Traveler's Notebook refill offers me. And so, of course, I will continue to be using a Traveler's Notebook for next year. And sometimes I consider it as my overflow because, as you saw previously, the take a note can only take so much in a day. Sometimes I do print out more photos than I need, and they all go into my Traveler's Notebook as a space for me to continue journaling. So my setup is pretty simple. I usually have a zipper case in here. This one's the to and fro one. I really like it. It has these pockets and zipper, and it's very filmy and soft and very light. I'm already breaking into my 2026 pencil board. This is the Traveler's Spirit Preservation Society. I just love all these quotes, and I love using the grid in the back to guide my writing so it's straight. You can see it here. For 2026, I decided I'm going to start using a new refill from the Love and Trip series. It's red, it's very bright. And also typically end of January to February is Chinese New Year. So I think this looks super festive and super appropriate for the occasion. I'm adding something new to my system. I purchased this year when I went to Japan in the summer. It's one line a day, a 3-year diary by Traverse Notebook. Traverse Company collaboration with Mizu something. I forgot the name, but essentially it's a 3-year diary similar to what you would find out there. But what's interesting is to fit it all into this small book. It's literally one line a day. And so this is the year. So like this whole row would be for 2026, 2027, 2028. And then here you would like April 1st, April 2nd, April 3rd. And then you would write vertically. So obviously it's designed for vertical writings like kanji or for Chinese or for other characters that can write vertically. But I do see some people turn it around and try to squeeze in like the horizontal way. So I think you can do it either way. I usually don't keep more than 2 refills in my Traverse notebook. I do like to keep it compact and easy to hold and carry around. I do always have a folder in there with me so I can carry excess ephemera or sticker sheets or little PET tape cutouts that I save to use on the trip. So a pretty basic setup, my sturdy cafe journaling companion, and you know, I can't wait to enjoy more of my fun trip experiences for 2026 in this journal. Here's my plotter in A5 size. This year for 2026, I'm especially starting out with the special edition that I really enjoy. It's a Horween leather glove. You can see it's got a really nice texture like a baseball glove. It was a special edition that I acquired at San Francisco Pen Show this year. I think they might still have a little bit for next year's California Pen Show if you are visiting. But these special editions come by really rarely, and so I really treasure them. But I have a lot of plotter covers, so I switch them out throughout the year like clothes. But particularly, I want to start the new year with this one. So the A5 size is just the perfect size for work. Even though these days for a lot of people, work means everything's digital, everything's on your Google Calendar, you talk to people on Teams, everything's digitalized, but it's so ingrained in me to always take note by hand. For some reason, I think it just really helps me memorize things and leaves a stronger impression when we are discussing important things. So I always need a notebook when I am at work to jot things down during meetings, when we're having conversations, things like that. Plus, I work for a stationery company, and when I was in Japan earlier this year and seeing my colleagues, everyone handwrites. It's so funny how, even though how modern digitalized the workplace could be today, for Japanese people, it's still very ingrained in them to handwrite and take notes. So my setup is pretty easy. I actually created a little dashboard page for myself. This is on drawing paper. I printed this photo of the view out my work table onto drawing paper using a regular printer. You can kind of still see the perforation here. And then I decorate it with stickers. So this is sort of the motivational, aspirational mood board page. I utilize the plotter monthly calendar pages as my main schedule management tool. I actually paired it with the Traveler's Company sticker tabs here. It's just so intuitive, really easy to use, and actually allows me to flip to certain months really quickly, which is nice when I'm referencing stuff for work. For on this, it's really chicken scratch. I don't really try to use the colorful pens or colors or anything. It's whatever pens I can grab from my table. In fact, I have kind of like a little glass of pens right here. And sometimes I do use highlighters to highlight things, but most of the time it's just whatever pen I'm using at the moment. I also utilize the weekly refill that plotter comes out with. This is super helpful for me because it gives me a little bit of a structure on things I need to note down for certain days. So throughout the work week, I use these weekend days as special notes. I categorize this blank space on the right into different sections for different brands that I manage, different projects that I manage. So I would usually like draw a little line down the middle, or even just like use it as like sections. And it's really helpful for me because I could easily flip through and reference the exact dates, certain points was discussed, certain projects we had to be mindful of. And this year I started a new thing where I also added the month tabs to coordinate with the pages. And I think it's going to be super helpful because I could quickly flip through the section that I need. I utilize project managers at the back. These are essentially cool accessories that can help you categorize several pages all together into this neat folder design. So I have set up a few project managers for the different categories that I manage for work. I work in marketing and brand, and then I also put in some spare paper at the end for spontaneous note taking. But typically I work with a notepad. This is also from Plotter, or a refill memo pad because it's just easier to take note and open up a page like this and just start writing. And then once I'm done, I tear it out and put it into my plotter. So I use it together. This is, by the way, a special edition from I think, wow, 2023. This was when we attended Chicago Pen Show, and Plotter did a special edition of the Chicago foil stamping refill on this. I also created another folder here. This is essentially going to be my meeting notes folder. I am starting to ramp up with a lot of meetings with our different departments in Japan, so I'm going to save a dedicated space to store all the note pages I have for here. I have a little future log page here that I can't quite show you, but essentially as I'm transferring pages from my current plotter to the new one, there's some projects that needs to be carried forward, so I am jotting them here as a reference page. And then at the back, of course, band with lifter because I like to keep it close. And the pen holder is perfect because I don't really use fountain pens with my plotter, or my work plotter at least. I use typical ballpoints, Uniball Signal DX, thin pens like that fits easily into this one. So it has been a steady workhorse for me since 2021. I started out, I think, with Alicio Black, and now I'm in my almost 5th year of working at my current job, so I'm really enjoying this system and this layout. Plus, it's compact and thin. I could go to pen shows and events or travel and just bring this with me, and it would have everything I needed. My personal planner for 2026 is Plotter in the Bible size. This one specifically is a very special edition that is only available at Plotter Tokyo, which is Plotter's flagship store in Japan right now. It's located in Harajuku, and I highly recommend it if you travel to Tokyo to go give it a look. The structure is so cool, and they have a lot of special editions like this one. So this letter is called Kurozan because it kind of looks like black jeweled exterior. It's pebbled and lacquered with urushi, or I guess urushi is Japanese for lacquered art. So this letter is very special. The interior is bound with, it's a combination of 2 leather pieces, and then the interior is a very bouncy and soft leather in here. I love it so much. I have also a lot of covers for my plotters, and I just switch them around based on my whims and the seasonalities. And I'm going to start out the new year with this special one. So in here I have a little kind of like a window refill page where I put in photos of people that I like. Joshua from 17 and Elliot. I made my own divider by punching holes into these like plastic postcards, and this is one that I bought from Japan featuring like a cream soda design. It's so elegant. So I like to cut like these keyhole ring things so that I could easily put them into my rings without having to open them. And I really took a page out of the ruler pads that I use for all my plotters. They come with these kind of like keyhole things, so it's really easy to remove and use as a tab. In fact, this one I'm going to be using for next year because this is going to help me find the most current page or week I'm on. I purchased these cool dividers from Japan from the brand KNOX, which is the sister brand to Plotter. This came together with their special Sumomo series, which features plum. So the whole color theme is pink. So you can see here, I basically divided my plotter, my personal planner, into 3 sections. The schedule section, the to-do list, and then my favorite. The schedule section is very similar to the work planner where I combine monthly pages with weekly pages. And so I would put my ruler pad in the most recent current weeks I'm in. And I don't put all my year's weeks in at once because it's going to get really bulky. I typically put in around 2 months, 3 months worth. So kind of like a quarter, similar in my A5 work plotter. I love using it with the Traveler's tabs because, like I said, you can flip really easily to the page you need. The weekly calendar for my plotter typically holds a miscellaneous amount of things. Sometimes there are appointments, flight details, there's dental cleaning, Elliot's schedule, Elliot's track day, Cookie's grooming schedule. I needed to get my global entry updates, and I also like to decorate empty spaces with a lot of other thematic stuff like stationery accessories. So I really utilize my monthly to its fullest. And I also don't really care about what color pen I'm using. It's really spontaneous. There's a lot of circling and crossing out when things are moving around, highlights, moving around, strike throughs, things like that. So I really enjoy this simple format, really at a glance. And sometimes I have things on my appointment that I don't want to be mixed up with my work stuff, which is why I have a separate planner for this aspect of my life. I do have a shared Google Calendar with Elliot, but we don't update it often, so I still refer to my paper planner the most. I learned this trick from a friend where I cut out, I hole punched a Polaroid film and made a keyhole. So now it's kind of like my page flipper as well, the page divider. The weekly section of my plotter serves a very utilitarian purpose. As you can see, some days I don't even write much. There's no obligation to fill it to its fullest, no obligation to make it neat or clean. They really just serve a very simple purpose of letting me jot down notes and things that I want to do, things I want to buy, important things I need to remember to get done at the week. I use various different pens, and I'm not really fixated on how it looks. Moving on to the to-do list, I have a curation of reference pages that I recently just transferred over, and they made up of things that I want to be I want to find out, like I want to experience, or things that I want to do. So here I have restaurants I want to try in Seattle, things and places I wanted to visit or do. I go down to Portland a lot, so as I scroll on my phone, sometimes some things come up on my feed, and I take note of those. Things I wanted to eat when I go back to Taiwan for my next trip. Things I want to do in Tokyo when I go back, whenever that is. Sometimes in your life you just come across things, and it's kind of like, where do you save it to, right? Like you can save it on your app, but when exactly do you reference it? And it's so hard to keep track. So my plotter essentially is my life encyclopedia, if you can think of it that way. It's just things that, oh, I'm interested in this. I don't want to forget about it after a few more scrolls, so let me write it in my plotter. Things to buy, stationery I'm interested in, and then subscription and courses that I needed to accomplish and finish this year. The last section, my favorites. My plotter really is a miscellaneous kind of melting pot. I recently purchased this cool accordion refill from Desk Gems. She got this from Japan, and I think I'm going to use this to track my eating out habits. So this is going to have my restaurants that I visit, cafes that I go to, interesting new places that I tried, and it'd be really fun and interesting to see the patterns and also if I'm spamming certain things or not. And then finally, at the last section, I have a project manager here that I just call a project, but it's really important reference notes. So I shared before, I have this evergreen packing list that I love to use for all my trips. So it helps me pack, essentially, whenever you're traveling for a short trip or a long one. There's always things that, you just have to put into your bag. And having something consistent here can help me not forget to bring important things. And there's some other reference pages back here too. Sometimes it's like, oh, this is the FedEx account number that I use for our work. Oh, this is the address for Elliot's garage. Things like that. So that I won't share here, but a really utilitarian notebook tool that I use to help me navigate the various things that happens in my life. And the cool thing about this is that this is a refillable system, and I have no attachment to any of these pages. So as soon as they're exhausted, I tend to just recycle them at the end of the year. So even these pages, like if there's a week or month that I really, really enjoy, I would actually paste it on my traveler's notebook. But I'm not super attached to these pages. Like, look at these. I'm not going to keep these for the next few years. And sometimes I even use these extra blank pages as scrap paper for when I'm like collaging. Like I need a space to glue or I need a space to doodle or test out pen. So a lot of these excess pages end up being recycled paper. And then I forgot to mention one more thing that I kind of have plans to use my plotter in Bible size for, especially since I have various plotters. I'm actually going to be taking Japanese lessons next year, so I think I might actually also utilize this form factor as my Japanese notes. And the cool thing is I can move it in and out, so if there's any like vocabulary lists that I want to reference or memorize, I could also put them in here. When I travel for work, if that happens, I can have reference pages too of like Japanese phrases or things that I should know how to say in it as well. All right, we're close to the end. This is exciting because I'm trying out something new for the new year. This is a KNOX N Pearce ring system. So you can see it utilizes the bigger rings, and thus it feels bulkier than a typical mini 6 size plotter or a pocket plotter. This cover has like cool pockets at the front, at the back. I actually am going to utilize this to hold one of the excess refill memo pads, so I could just write on the refill memo pad instead of in this, and rip it out, add it in. This is going to be my media and hobby journal for the new year. I utilize the KNOX dated pages in here for me to track show seasons, upcoming shows, episodes I'm currently on, just to keep track because I consume a lot of media. So you can see here are some categories: podcasts, music videos. I'm really updated on K-pop, so these are things I like to listen and watch. Reaction videos, things like that. Manga, anime, movies, K-drama, K-variety, K-food, YouTube, miscellaneous YouTube, Chinese drama. So I'm gonna utilize these weekly pages here to write about shows that I consumed throughout the year. It's sometimes interesting to see, oh, at the beginning of the year, I was really into that romance comedy. And then, like, middle of the year, oh my goodness, I fell so in love in this fantastical Chinese drama. And then at the end of the year, oh, rom-com again. And then also, you know, keeping track of things that's on the radar that I want to consume. So it's actually in this section here. I have several pages of to watch, to do's, including manga, anime, K-drama, and when if I'm done, I'm gonna take it off. Chinese drama, movies, books I want to read, K-variety shows that's on my to watch list because sometimes I don't remember, things like that. I have another section here called listening to. And so, you know how we all have our favorite playlist and songs that kind of, I guess, progress throughout the year with us in our different seasons and phases. So it's sometimes interesting to kind of think about what songs you're really into. So I wanted to kind of keep track of that and just kind of, oh, this week I can't help but spam this like OST from Sniper Butterfly, so I will write that down, and then in the future I could come back and reminisce about this in like a chronological way. I also am trying to learn more about the genre of city pop and jazz, so I'm curating a track list, song lists in those categories so that I could potentially dive into my new hobby that I want to develop next year, which is getting into analog culture. So like bin diving, buying a record player, things like that. Other hobbies that I want to document in here include recipes for meal prep, food related things. I also want to learn more about photography, getting more knowledgeable about the manual settings of how to use my camera because I've been using it on auto for all these years. So those are the little things that, you know, me greedily want to develop in my life. And so I think this would be a really cool space for that. So basically you can say that those 6 books that I just talked about are all functional or memory keeping based journals, notebooks. And the M5 square size, I'm just going to refer to the mini 5 square dimension because I might switch between this cover and my plotter one here and there. But what this system really serves is actually, it's just a notebook. You know how sometimes you really just need a notebook handy to write down things in the moment. And you don't have to worry about the format. You don't worry about how neat it needs to look because you may have a certain aesthetics you want your journal to maintain. You don't want to waste a bound notebook. And I think that's where this like ring binder system really comes in handy. And in fact, for the longest time, I just attached the entire refill into it. And I was flipping through it like a notebook. So you can see here, these contain the plainest thoughts in my head. Sometimes I just feel like journaling and writing about certain sentiments, so I would do that. Doodling, list making. I don't even think I'm gonna go back to these pages at all, like they're all gonna get recycled. So I think of it as a transfer station, if you think about it that way. It's a transfer station for me to dump my thoughts in its most rawest form, including grocery shopping list, and they would then be copied over into my planner or transferred into my creative journal or written down as a to-do on my plotter, work plotter. So my brain dumping space, and I treat it sometimes as little tiny thought journals. Like you can see here, I date it here, and then that day I just have this like mini thought, and that's it. Like that's it for that page. So I've already used up quite a lot, and so I'm on my second book now. But I'm gonna pair it with this cool accordion yearly calendar here that's in the mini 5 size. So I'm just gonna use it as a mini diary to go with my Commonplace notebook. So It's super compact. It fits in so much of my bags. And although the mini 5 size is a very great size for my wallet and for note taking, I also enjoy the luxurious extra space that the mini 5 square gives me. You know, feels more like I'm writing in a normal notebook. Thank you for joining me on my walkthrough of my Techo Kaigi for 2026 at a glance. I realize I keep coming back to the number 7 as like the quantity of systems that I'm using, and I think I've really found a really sweet spot, especially when some of my other systems in this lineup is always so consistent and true, which is the A5 plotter, the Bible size plotter, the Traveler's notebook, the creative journal, and I mix it up sometimes with a few different new things. So I am really looking forward to writing in these for the new year. I have them all set up, the pages ready to go, with little post-it notes reminding me what I wanted to do for some of the pages. And I hope you will have some time to do that for yourself as well with your lineup and your system, or whatever you're calling these things these days. Well, thank you for watching, and thank you for bearing with me throughout this hectic 25 days of Stationery Vlogmas. If you really enjoy this, drop me a cute emoji of a ice cream soft serve. I was thinking melon soda in my head, but like I don't think they have that emoji. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Enjoy your holidays and have a happy new year. Bye bye. Right, sir? Okay, what do you have to say for yourself?